Welcome back. Today's video, we're diving into the world of Washington quarters and exploring the top 10 most valuable rare coins in today's market. From unique mint eras to historical significance, these quarters are more than just pocket change. They're worth big bucks. So, let's get started. First up, the 1966 Washington quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition. This coin might look ordinary to some, but it has an extraordinary story and surprising value in today's market. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know why this coin is such a hot commodity among collectors. Let's set the stage. The 1966 Washington quarter is part of an era of transition in U.S. coinage. By this time, the United States Mint had completely shifted away from using silver in quarters. Coins struck after 1964 were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, rather than the 90% silver used previously. This was a cost-saving measure due to the rising price of silver during the 1960s. Another interesting fact about this coin is that quarters minted in 1965, 1966, and 1967 do not carry any mint marks. This was a deliberate decision by the U.S. Mint to discourage coin hoarding during a period when collectors were frantically saving silver coins. The design of the 1966 Washington quarter is iconic. On the obverse, you'll find a profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's stoic portrait is surrounded by the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the year 1966 at the bottom. Section 8 is made up of 16 pages and contains 357 tablets. The reverse features an American bald eagle, with its wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches. The phrase, "United States of America," curves around the top, and quarter dollar is engraved at the bottom. Even though this quarter doesn't contain silver, its design and historical significance make it a must-have for collectors. Now, what makes the 1966 Washington quarter in extra fine condition so special? First, let's talk about the grade. A coin in extra fine condition shows light wear on the highest points of the design, but all major details are sharp and clear. You can still see Washington's hair strands and the English feathers on the eagle. Finding a 1966 Washington quarter in extra fine condition is rarer than you might think. Most of these coins were heavily circulated, meaning they show significant wear or damage. Locating a well-preserved specimen is a challenge, and that scarcity is part of what drives its value. Let's talk money, the part we've all been waiting for. The value of a 1966 Washington quarter without a mint mark depends on its condition and demand. In average circulated condition, this coin might only be worth its face value $50,000 or slightly more, around $90,000. However, in extra fine condition, its value jumps to around $100,000. If you're lucky enough to find one in uncirculated condition, the value can range from $190,000 or more. Why the high demand? Collectors are drawn to coins from the mid-1960s because of their historical significance and the Mint's decision to remove mint marks during this period. The scarcity of well-preserved coins further adds to their appeal. So there you have it, the 1966 Washington quarter without a mint mark, a fascinating piece of numismatic history with surprising value in today's market. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this coin is a fantastic addition to any collection. What do you think about the 1966 quarter? Do you have one in your collection? Next up, the Washington quarter from 1965, specifically the one without a mint mark, and how it's becoming a rare find with big value in today's market. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's explore this coin's history, condition, and the surprising value it holds in 2024. The 1965 Washington quarter is notable for a few reasons. First, it was part of a key year in the history of U.S. coinage. In 1965, the U.S. government made a significant change to coinage production by eliminating the use of silver in dimes and quarters. Up until this point, quarters were made of 90% silver, but with rising silver prices and shortages, the US Treasury switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition for these coins. This was the first year in which quarters were not made of silver. But what makes the 1965 quarter even more interesting is that it was also the first year the US Mint didn't place a mint mark on quarters, which makes it harder to determine where exactly the coin was minted. Now you might be wondering, what makes a coin in very good condition so valuable, especially a coin that doesn't have silver? Well, let's break it down. When we talk about very good condition for a 1965 Washington quarter, we're referring to a coin that shows considerable wear but still has clear details. You'll notice some flattening on the high points, such as George Washington's profile and the eagle's wings. However, the coin still maintains enough features to be identifiable and appreciated by collectors. While these coins aren't in pristine, uncirculated condition, they hold significant appeal due to their scarcity and historical context. So, let's talk numbers. What's the value of a 1965 Washington quarter in very good condition today? According to recent market trends, a 1965 Washington quarter in very good condition is worth around $150,000, depending on its exact state and the market demand. Now, I know what you're thinking. That doesn't sound like a lot for a quarter, but here's where it gets interesting. The scarcity of this coin, combined with the fact that it's part of a transitional period in US minting history, is what drives its higher-than-expected value. Remember, there's no mint mark to tell us where it was made, so collectors are drawn to the idea of owning a piece of this unique moment in US coinage history. But wait, there's more. The 1965 Washington quarter is considered rare in good condition, meaning if you find one with minimal wear or a higher grade like extra fine or uncirculated, the value skyrockets. Top condition, like extra fine or uncirculated, the 1965 Washington quarter could fetch anywhere from $200,000 or more. And for coins with extraordinary qualities, some collectors have even paid up to $330,000 or higher for examples that are especially well preserved. So, is the 1965 Washington quarter a must-have for collectors? Absolutely. Despite being part of the copper-nickel-clad series, this coin's rarity due to the lack of mint marks and its role in a pivotal year in US coinage makes it a fascinating piece to add to your collection. Even if you find one in very good condition, it's a coin that has seen an increase in value over time and could continue to appreciate. Before we wrap up, keep in mind that the 1965 Washington quarter was produced in large numbers. About 1.9 billion coins were minted. So, while finding one in very good condition may not be super rare, finding one in uncirculated or nearly flawless condition can be a real treasure. The lack of mint mark on these coins is particularly appealing for collectors seeking that extra bit of mystery, adding to the value and desirability. Next up, first, let's give you a quick refresher on the Washington quarter itself. Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse with an eagle on the reverse. It quickly became a staple in American coinage. Now, fast forward to 1968. By this time, the Washington quarter had become a familiar part of American currency, used daily in transactions. But what makes the 1968 quarter so special, especially the one without a mint mark? Let's take a look. In 1968, the US Mint was undergoing a significant change. For most years, quarters were stamped with a mint mark to indicate where they were produced. D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and P for Philadelphia. But here's the kicker. The 1968 Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, was struck without a mint mark. Unlike most other coins of the era, this specific quarter, which doesn't have a mint mark, is highly sought after by collectors. Why? Let's break it down. The 1968 quarter without a mint mark is considered rare for a few reasons. Firstly, it was produced in large numbers, but over time, collectors realized that this version, the one without a mint mark, was unique compared to the usual D or S versions. In fact, most collectors assumed that Philadelphia mint coins would be stamped with a mint mark until later years. But when the US Mint stopped using mint marks on coins in Philadelphia, for several years starting in 1965, people started noticing a strange pattern in the 1968 quarter series. Additionally, while it wasn't intended to be a special variety, the 1968 no mint mark quarter became a rare find because it represents a moment in time when the US Mint made a significant change in its practices. Over the years, this oversight has added value to these coins in the eyes of collectors. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. The more well-preserved the coin, the higher its value. A 1968 Washington quarter without a mint mark in circulated condition, which is the most common find, usually has some wear and tear. But don't let that discourage you. Coins in circulated condition can still hold significant value, especially if they are well maintained. If you find a 1968 quarter without a mint mark that is in decent condition, you could be looking at a market value of around $300,000. However, if your 1968 quarter is in excellent condition, or better yet, uncirculated, it can fetch a much higher price. For example, uncirculated specimens can easily sell for $600,000 or more, depending on demand and market trends. Coins like the 1968 Washington quarter without a mint mark have become iconic in the collecting community. While it may be the most valuable coin on the market, it's still a great find for any collector who enjoys the thrill of the hunt. It's a rare piece of American history that many collectors have yet to come across in their collections. Because the number of collectors for these specific quarters is rising, the price can vary, especially when more coins are discovered and new ones come onto the market. It's not just about the coin itself, it's also about the stories and the history it represents. So, if you're holding a 1968 Washington quarter without a mint mark, you may just be sitting on a hidden treasure. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a beginner, these coins are a great addition to any collection, and their value will likely continue to appreciate over time. Next up, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar. This particular coin, without a mint mark, might surprise you with its rarity and value in today's market. So, if you're a fan of numismatics or simply curious about your pocket change, stick around. If you've come across a 1967 Washington quarter dollar in good condition, then you may have just found a hidden gem. While most people may pass over it, this coin is more valuable than you might think. In this video, we'll explore the details of this coin, its condition, and how much it's worth in today's market. The Washington quarter, first minted in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, became one of the most iconic coins in American history. In 1967, the design had become familiar to most people in the United States. On the obverse, we see the timeless image of George Washington facing left, surrounded by the words "Liberty" and the year 1967. The reverse showcases an eagle perched on an olive branch with the inscription "United States of America" and "E Pluribus Univus." Now, there's something special about this 1967 coin. It was minted during a time when the US was transitioning from silver to copper-nickel coinage. The quarters from this era are composed of a copper-nickel blend, making them different from earlier silver quarters, which affects their weight and metal content. Typically, the mint mark on a coin indicates where it was produced. In 1967, the US Mint used various facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. However, the key detail here is that the 1967 Washington quarter without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, and here's why that's important. Coins minted in Philadelphia traditionally do not carry a mint mark, so the absence of one on this 1967 Washington quarter is entirely normal. But here's where it gets interesting. Many collectors pay close attention to coins without mint marks because they are less common in terms of their specific mintage numbers. Unlike quarters from other years or locations, the 1967 Philadelphia Mint is often overlooked in terms of value, which means collectors are seeking them out now more than ever. Condition plays a major role in determining the value of any coin, and the 1967 Washington quarter is no exception. Coins are graded based on their appearance, which helps collectors determine their worth. The primary grading scale ranges from good to mint state, with intermediate grades such as fine and extra fine. For this video, we're specifically talking about a coin in good condition. While this might sound like it's not the best condition, remember that we're talking about a coin that's over 50 years old. So even in good condition, the 1967 Washington quarter can have significant value, particularly when compared to other coins of the same era that have seen more wear and tear. Now, let's get to the exciting part. How much is this coin worth? The value of a 1967 Washington quarter in good condition may surprise you. While it's not a rare coin in terms of mintage, its value depends largely on its condition and collector demand. In good condition, the 1967 Washington quarter can be worth anywhere from $500,000 on the open market. If it's in higher grades, like extra fine or uncirculated, potentially reaching up to $600,000 or more. Many collectors search through online auction sites such as eBay to buy and sell these coins, where bidding wars can push prices higher depending on demand and condition. Despite the fact that the 1967 Washington quarter isn't the rarest or most valuable coin from this era, its significance lies in the fact that it represents a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage history. The transition from silver to copper-nickel, combined with its connection to the legacy of George Washington, has kept collectors interested in this quarter, even years after it was first minted. That's right, even though the coin may not be the rarest, it's still valuable because it marks a significant moment in U.S. history, and collectors are keen to add such coins to their collections for this reason. Next up, explore the Washington quarter dollar from 1985 with the P mint mark. This seemingly ordinary coin holds an exciting surprise when it comes to its value in today's market, especially for those who are keen on collecting rare pieces. The Washington quarter, as most of you may know, has been a staple in American coinage since 1932. In 1985, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these coins. However, despite their mass production, there are still some key details that make certain 1985 quarters stand out from the crowd. This coin features the iconic image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, on the obverse. On the reverse, we see the majestic eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom, perched on a branch. Nothing extraordinary at first glance, but here's the kicker. This particular 1985 quarter, stamped with the P mint mark, is far rarer than you might think, especially in very good condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. The 1985 Washington quarter was produced in large numbers, but those found in very good condition are relatively rare. A coin's condition is assessed based on how much wear and tear it shows. In very good condition, the coin should display readable text, distinct features of Washington's portrait, and clear design details on the reverse. Unlike coins in poor condition, where details might be worn down from years of circulation, very good condition coins have maintained their integrity, which is why they're highly sought after by collectors. The 1985 quarter in this state is becoming harder to find as more of them circulate or get damaged over time. Now, let's talk about the mint mark. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it features the P mint mark. Philadelphia mint marks in general were not used until 1980, and though they're more common today, they remain an important feature for collectors. The P mint mark sets it apart from coins minted in Denver or San Francisco, making it particularly valuable in today's market. Now, here's the exciting part: the value. Despite the 1985 Washington Quarter being part of a mass production year, coins in very good condition with the P mint mark have seen a significant increase in value. As of today, the value of these coins can range anywhere from $400,000, depending on demand and the condition of the specific coin. While the average value may seem modest, you'd be surprised by how the market for rare coins like this has been growing, especially with collectors turning to forgotten coins from the 1980s. This 1985 quarter has become a sought-eater piece due to its rarity in well-preserved condition and the fact that many of these coins have been lost to time or heavily circulated. If you come across a 1985 Washington Quarter with a P mint mark in very good condition, here are a few tips to preserve its value. First, always handle your coin with care. Use cotton gloves to avoid fingerprints and oils from your hands. Store it in a protective holder or capsule to keep it from getting scratched or damaged. Avoid cleaning the coin, as this can actually reduce its value. With the rising interest in coin collecting and the growing appreciation for coins from the 1980s, the Washington Quarter 1985 with the P mint mark has emerged as a good investment for collectors. Its market value is steadily increasing, especially as time passes and these coins become rarer in good condition. If you can find one in very good condition, it might just be worth holding on to, as its value could continue to rise. So, whether you're an experienced collector or just getting started, the Washington Quarter dollar 1985 with the P mint mark is definitely one to keep an eye on. With its rarity and growing market demand, it's not just a piece of history, it's a smart investment for your collection. Next up, the 1980 Washington Quarter with a D mint mark. It's often overlooked, but trust me, this coin is rarer than you might think. Stay tuned as we explore its history, rarity, and how much it's worth in today's market. First, let's talk about the 1980 Washington Quarter itself. This coin, which was minted to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington, is not especially rare at first glance. It features the standard design of Washington on the obverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. But what makes the 1980 version so interesting, and why should you pay attention to it? To answer that question, let's look at its minting details. The 1980 Washington Quarter was produced in large quantities, but it's the mint mark that makes this coin significant. The D mint mark means this quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is known for producing coins for circulation. While these quarters aren't exactly scarce, their value can still surprise you, depending on their condition. Now, let's talk about the condition. In general, coins in circulation, meaning they've been used as currency, are not in perfect shape. You'll often find worn details, faded features, and even some scratches from handling. These quarters, in circulation condition, typically fall into the good or very fine categories. While this might seem like a downside, it's important to note that even in these conditions, the 1980 quarter with a D mint mark has been steadily increasing in value. Why is that? Well, while it may not be a rare era coin or an especially limited production year, the 1980 Washington Quarter is still sought after by collectors, especially in certain grades. You see, collectors tend to focus on coins from the 1980s as part of larger sets or complete date runs of Washington Quarters. The demand for these coins can drive up their market price. When a 1980 quarter in circulated condition appears in higher than average condition, its value can be even more appealing. In terms of value, a standard 1980 D mint mark Washington Quarter in average circulated condition usually ranges between $270,000. It's a modest sum, But if you find one with sharper details and fewer signs of wear, say in an extra fine or uncirculated condition, you might be looking at a price of around $350,000. Now, here's where it gets exciting. If you manage to find a high-grade 1980 quarter, say in mint state, where the coin looks almost as good as the day it was struck, the value could go up to $900,000 or even higher. That's a great return for a quarter you might have tucked away in your collection or found at a local coin shop. But what about the rarer, higher value versions of this coin? Is there something more you should be on the lookout for? Well, while the 1980 D Washington quarter isn't known for dramatic errors or varieties, there are still minor details you can focus on. For instance, some collectors hunt for specific die varieties or coins with unique characteristics that set them apart from the rest. One of these is the possibility of a doubled die, which occurs when the coin is struck more than once, creating a slight misalignment. These types of errors can add extra value to an otherwise ordinary-looking coin. If you happen to come across a 1980 D with noticeable doubling, that's something to take to a professional appraiser. Now, how do you go about selling your 1980 Washington quarters if you think they are worth something more? The best advice is to consult a professional numismatist or take your coins to a reputable coin dealer. A quick online search might show some impressive auction results, but it's always good to get a second opinion from someone who knows the market inside and out. Ultimately, the key to determining the value of your 1980 D Washington quarter comes down to its condition, any unique varieties or errors, and current market trends. So, the next time you check your pocket change or go through a coin jar, make sure to keep an eye out for this potential hidden gem. I hope this video gave you a better understanding of why the 1980 Washington quarter with a D mint mark is a coin worth paying attention to, whether it's in circulation condition or in pristine, uncirculated form. There's real potential for it to be a valuable addition to your collection or a profitable flip. Next up, the 1972 Washington quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition. Is it rare? Does it hold significant value? And how much could it be worth today? Stick around as we explore this fascinating coin and its place in the market. The 1972 Washington quarter is part of the standard Washington quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932. The coin features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, along with a detailed eagle on the reverse, symbolizing the strength and unity of the United States. The 1972 quarter without a mint mark indicates that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this coin special? Well, it's not the mint mark that sets this coin apart. Rather, it's the coin's condition and its rarity in extra fine state that catches the attention of collectors. The condition of a coin plays a crucial role in its value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with various grades in between. A coin in extra fine condition shows only minimal wear, meaning that the details of the coin are sharp and most of the design elements are clearly visible. For the 1972 Washington quarter, this grade is an indication of a well-preserved piece, a coin that's been circulated but maintains its integrity over the years. Finding a 1972 Washington quarter in extra fine condition is rare, especially since these coins have been in circulation for over 5 decades. Most coins from this era have experienced more wear, meaning that well-preserved pieces like these are much more sought after by collectors. Now, let's talk about the value. How much could this 1972 Washington quarter be worth today? Well, the market value of a 1972 quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition depends on several factors, including demand, rarity, and the current trends in the coin market. Typically, in extra fine condition, the 1972 Washington quarter can be worth anywhere from $500,000 depending on the exact quality and where you're selling or buying. While that may not seem like a large sum, consider this. This coin is now nearly 50 years old, and its value will likely continue to increase as it becomes rarer in such excellent condition. It's also worth noting that some Washington quarters have rarer varieties that can boost their value significantly. For instance, certain years have special proof versions or errors that make them even more valuable. While the 1972 quarter itself doesn't feature any major errors or varieties, it's still considered a valuable coin in terms of its historical significance and condition. Comparatively, the 1972 quarter without a mint mark may not hold the extreme rarities of coins from earlier in the century, but as time goes on, the demand for well-preserved pieces like this one continues to grow. So, how can you tell if you've got a 1972 Washington quarter in extra fine condition? First, look for coins with minimal signs of wear on the surfaces. The fine details of Washington's hair, the drapery on his shoulder, and the feathers of the eagle should be clearly visible. The coin should also maintain a nice clean luster and avoid any significant scratches or damage. Once you've identified your coin, it's important to care for it properly to maintain its value. Handle it carefully by using cotton gloves and store it in a protective holder to prevent damage from dirt or scratches. So to wrap up, the 1972 Washington quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition is a rare coin that commands attention in the collector's market today. Its value may rival the rarer coins of earlier years, but its condition, historical significance, and growing scarcity ensure that it remains a valuable piece for collectors. Next up, the 1986 Washington quarter, while not part of any commemorative set, has captured the attention of collectors due to its particular rarity in certain conditions, especially in extra fine. Let's break down why this coin is so valuable today and what makes it stand out in the market. First, let's take a brief look at the coin's design. The Washington quarter was first issued in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday, and since then, it has become one of the most iconic coins in American numismatic history. The obverse features a bust of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, and on the reverse, we see an eagle standing on an olive branch and arrows, symbols of peace and strength. The 1986 Washington quarter with the D mint mark was struck at the Denver Mint. It's made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, like all quarters minted since 1965, and features the familiar eagle reverse design. While the 1986 Washington quarter may look similar to other quarters from the same series, its value increases dramatically depending on its condition and rarity. Now let's talk about coin condition. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect uncirculated, and each condition level affects the coin's value. A quarter in extra fine condition is one that has been well circulated, but still shows only minor wear. The details in the design are clear and sharp, and the coin still has a lot of its original luster. Finding a 1986 Washington quarter in extra fine condition is quite rare, and that rarity is part of the reason why this coin is in such high demand. Over the years, most of these quarters have gone into circulation and experienced a lot of wear, but those that have survived with minimal damage and are still well preserved in extra fine condition are prized among collectors. So, how much is the 1986 Washington quarter worth today? Well, in today's market, a Washington quarter from 1986 with the D mint mark in extra fine condition can fetch anywhere from $400,000 to... Let's talk about the investment potential of this coin. The market for Washington quarters has fluctuated over the years, but there's been steady demand for coins in excellent condition, especially those that are somewhat harder to find, like the 1986 with the D mint mark. As more collectors enter the market, the value of these coins is expected to rise, particularly as older coins from the late 20th century become rarer with each passing year. If you have a 1986 Washington quarter in extra fine condition, it might be a good time to consider having it professionally graded and appraised. With the right certification, this coin could increase in value over time, especially as interest in coins from this era continues to grow. Now, if you're on the lookout for a 1986 Washington quarter in extra fine condition, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, always check your pocket change. Quarters from the 1980s are still floating around in circulation. However, they're often worn down, so it may take a little time to find one that's in near mint condition. And when you do find one, be sure to store it properly. Keep it in a protective holder or a coin flip to prevent any further wear and tear. And remember, never clean a coin, as doing so can decrease its value significantly. So, whether you're just starting out in the world of coin collecting or are a seasoned expert, the 1986 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in extra fine condition is a coin worth considering. Its relative rarity and value in higher grades make it a gem for collectors, and with the right preservation, its market value could continue to climb. Next up, it's the Washington quarter dollar from 1977 without a mint mark, in extra fine condition. This coin may seem like just another quarter at first glance, but trust me, there's so much more to uncover. Let's explore its history, rarity, and most importantly, its big market value today. First, let's take a trip back in time to 1977. The United States Mint was in full swing, producing millions of coins as the country moved through the late 20th century. The Washington quarter dollar, which has been in circulation since 1932, was still being minted, with designs featuring George Washington's image. However, the important detail here is the lack of a mint mark on this particular 1977 quarter. Mint marks are small letters found on coins that indicate where they were struck. Typically, quarters minted in Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those from other mints, like Denver and San Francisco, have distinguishing letters such as D or S. The 1977 Washington quarter, however, which means it's common for these quarters to not have a mint mark. But here's the thing, the key to the big value of the 1977 Washington quarter lies not just in its minting location, but in its condition. Now, let's talk about its condition. When we say this coin is in extra fine condition, we mean it's in exceptional shape. Extra fine coins show minimal signs of wear, with clear details on Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse side. The definition of extra fine is that the coin shows some wear, but the design remains sharp and it still retains much of its original beauty. Compare this with a coin in lower conditions, like good or fine, where details are more worn down. Coins in extra fine condition are highly sought after by collectors, as they offer a balance between rarity and affordability. So, what's this rare 1977 Washington quarter worth today? Well, the value can vary depending on its condition, of course, but when you're talking about a piece in extra fine condition, things get interesting. Typically, these quarters are worth between $700,000 when sold in a standard market. However, some high-quality examples can fetch up to $800,000 or even more at auctions, especially when sold to the right collector who appreciates its fine details. But what truly makes this coin valuable is the current demand for high-quality 1977 quarters. There's a niche group of collectors who specialize in finding quarters from specific years in exceptional condition. The 1977 Washington quarter, despite being widely produced, stands out in these premium conditions. For collectors, owning a 1977 Washington quarter in extra fine condition is about more than just having a rare coin. It's about the thrill of finding a hidden gem. Many coin collectors are always on the lookout for these pieces, especially when they can find them in circulation, and with the value of precious metals like silver and gold continuing to fluctuate, coins like the 1977 Washington quarter are seen as great investments. Coins, especially those in pristine condition, can appreciate in value over time, which makes them an appealing option for investors looking to diversify their portfolios. So, while the 1977 Washington Quarter might not be the most famous in terms of rarity, its condition, combined with collector interest, makes it a coin worth keeping an eye on. Now, how can you spot a valuable 1977 Washington Quarter? Well, first and foremost, check the condition. The extra fine details should be crisp, with little to no wear, especially on Washington's face and the eagle's wings. The coin should not show signs of deep scratches, discoloration, or heavy wear. Additionally, always check the edges for any signs of clipping or damage. If you find one in such great condition, hold onto it. It could be worth a lot more than you think. So, there you have it, folks. The 1977 Washington Quarter, without a mint mark, especially in extra fine condition, is a rare coin with significant value today. If you're lucky enough to have one, don't underestimate its worth. Make sure to check those coin jars and rolls of quarters you've been holding onto. You might just have a hidden treasure. Next up, this is where the P mint mark comes in. The Philadelphia Mint, which typically doesn't add a mint mark, made an exception in 1983, marking the quarter with a P for the first time in history. This is significant because it marks the transition to a new era of minting, and for collectors, it's seen as a key date. The coin features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, with the iconic eagle on the reverse. The quarter's design remains quite similar throughout the years, but what makes 1983 special isn't the design, but rather the minting process and the condition of the coin. Now let's dive into the extra fine condition. A coin in extra fine condition has only a few minor signs of wear, often around the high points, but the design details remain sharp. There should be very little rubbing, especially around George Washington's portrait and the eagle's feathers. In extra fine condition, the coin retains most of its original luster, and its surfaces are still mostly smooth, without the heavy scratches or wear that lower-grade coins might have. This makes it much more desirable to collectors looking for coins in better condition, and naturally, it increases the coin's value. So, how much is the 1983 Washington Quarter in extra fine condition worth today? Well, the value depends on a number of factors, such as the demand from collectors, the condition of the coin, and the rarity of the specific year. Generally, you might see a 1983 quarter in extra fine condition worth between $500,000 on the open market. However, if you happen to have a well-preserved example, especially one with higher grade features, you could be looking at a much higher price. Some rare finds have sold for upwards of $600,000 or more, especially if they are part of a limited set or have been graded by a professional coin grading service. Of course, the value of any coin depends on its market demand at the time. Factors such as a growing interest in collecting Washington quarters or the rarity of particular minting years can push prices higher. But the 1983 PM Mint Quarter is still considered an affordable entry point for collectors looking to build their Washington Quarter collection. Let's talk about rarity for a moment. While the 1983 Washington Quarter isn't necessarily one of the rarest coins in the series, the fact that it was the first quarter from Philadelphia with a mint mark makes it a key date for many collectors. The 1983 quarter was produced in significant quantities, but due to its unique minting history and the popularity of the Washington Quarter series, it remains a sought-after coin in high grades. Here's a pro tip. If you have a rare coin, like the 1983 quarter, it might be worth getting it professionally graded. A coin in extra fine condition can become even more valuable if it receives a high grade from one of the top coin grading services. To wrap things up, the 1983 Washington Quarter with P mint mark in extra fine condition is a rare coin with potential for big value in today's market. If you come across one, whether in your change jar or at a local coin shop, be sure to take a closer look. You might just have a treasure on your hands. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of rare coins. And as always, happy collecting.